Thursday, February 27th. Tonight's meeting is being broadcast, and there are members of the local media present. Anyone wishing to make a audio or video recording of the meeting, please consult with myself or one of the other members of the committee. First up, we have approval of minutes. We do have a set of regular meeting minutes from February 6th, 2014. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at those? I have a motion from Christine, second from Mike. All in favor? Unanimous in favor. Next up, we have announcements, correspondence, and distributions. Do any members have anything? No? I would like to just make a quick announcement saying I had the opportunity before tonight's school committee meeting to attend a meeting down in the auditorium that was being hosted by our football coach, Joe Todd, who is doing a great job organizing a Milford Gridiron Club, which is going to be a parent community-run organization that will help raise money as well as support for the players as well as the coaches. So it looks like a great endeavor, and I would encourage people who are interested to check in with Coach Todd on that. So it looks very promising for the program. Bob?
Nothing this evening, Mr.
No.
Chairman.
Next up, we have invitation to speak. Anyone here for invitation? Seeing no one? Next up, we have the Milford High School cheerleaders. Mr. Pigostavo, you want to bring
Yeah,
the cheerleaders in for us?
Rich, we have a video to show that one of the parents gave to me. Annie Shirelli gave me a video. We thought we could show them. Yeah, maybe as you have them come in, we can.
Of their performance?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We have enough room in here right now. We could have had him do a live
Yeah.
live
Broadcast.
presentation.
Send them across the hall. Do a live video.
A lot of cheerleaders.
Good.
Cups.
You have enough for everybody?
Yeah, there's 24 in here.
Who's working that? Are they working?
The,
Were you gonna show that?
Good evening. Welcome, ladies. Thank you for coming in. Coach P is going to tell us a little bit about.
I guess I'll introduce
Please
our
do.
coach, but before I do, the girls won the Division II state championship in November at Wachusett Regional High School in a fantastic performance. Not only was it good enough to win Division II, but of the 60 schools that were in competition across divisions and the co-ed teams, they had the second highest point total of every single school that was there, which is very impressive.
No.
Sorry. It's usually not hard to get me in a shot. Can I stand? Would you like me to sit?
no, that's fine.
No, that's however you
Anyway, they stop that. They were second out of 60, which is very impressive. First state title since 1991. They work really hard. For those of you that haven't seen a competition, it's very exciting. And having witnessed the performance at Wachusett, it was pretty awesome. First state title since 1991. They work really hard. Like I said, Katie Covell, our strength and conditioning coach, was blown away by their athleticism, their overall discipline and strength in the weight room. They're true athletes, and they represented us fantastically at the state championships and brought it home. And I'd like to introduce their coach, Heather Johnson.
I don't want to block anybody, though. Well, thank you guys so much for having us tonight. I really appreciate it. I know the girls and myself truly appreciate the support that we've been given from the administration and everyone. Ms. Bannock's been so supportive, Coach P, and then everyone here, their parents, and it really means a lot to us. Being a cheerleader here at Milford High School, I really know what it's like to work hard for that state title and not get it. So to be back coaching all these years later and continue coaching, I know how wonderful of an experience it was for them, and it is really important for me, for them to know how great they are and what a good job that they did. So without the support of you guys and everyone in this room, it wouldn't have been possible, but also their hard work and dedication is just exceptional. So thank you again. And I wanted to introduce the girls so you can meet them one by one, because you may know some of them, you may know none of them. So I wanted to introduce them so you can just see who they are. Starting from the end, we have senior Nikki Delgado, senior Loren Blanchard, senior Courtney LeBlanc, senior Allison Tomaso, and senior Casey Ozier. And we have two seniors not present tonight, Stephanie Wood and Stephanie Boaventura. And then our back line, give a little wave. We have Gabby McGovern, Kelsey Gaudette, Emily D'Antonio, Natalie Appleby, Carla Kubius, Olivia Hickey, Sarah McCrae. Sorry, you were in the back row. And then we have Katie Scosafava, Victoria Chiarelli, Ari DeMarco, Julia Denemy, Lauren Tomaso, Danielle Chasen, Jenna Smith, and who's back there? Angelina Oliva. Angelina Oliva, she's kind of little, you couldn't see her. And then we're missing Rachel Smith, who is also an underclassman who's not here. But I also brought, we had the girls bring a little something for you guys. First, we wanted to present to the school committee and Mr. Tremblay a picture that they took to give to you guys. So thank you for your support and having us tonight. We appreciate that. And then we have another picture that we wanted to present to Miss Banak, who is like a huge supporter of us and really appreciate it. And then we have another one for Coach P, who's our supportive, and he loves us and our enthusiasm. And then we wanted to present one more picture for the Booster Club, because they got us wonderful jackets, and we really appreciate that. So they're not here, so Monique Gaudette is going to take it tonight and present it to them in March. So I think that's it. Thank you.
I want to take a moment, Heather, to thank you for not only the work you do with the team, but also for instilling a community spirit and all the work that the girls that you did, raising money for Scott Elmore, and just being good citizens. And that's so important to what we bring to Milford. Thank you for that. I was able to get from Mrs. Shirley, I was able to get a clip.
I love it.
Is it okay if we?
Absolutely. I would love for you all to thank you.
Kill the life of stage one.
Oh, DVTs. That's what I love.
Happy to show you how to work that, Bob.
Cry.
You might show me how to do it.
You're doing great, baby.
You're an expert at that thing.
That's right. I know he does. He's ready for it, Kevin.
It's just.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at us warming up. Come on, guys. Be strong. makes me want to clap.
I'm crying. You can see it. Yep, here I am.
I'm crying. That's it. In a nutshell. Oh, there's
Exciting to watch, to say the least.
So fun.
I would just like to say to all you ladies, congratulations, phenomenal job to you, Coach Johnson, as well. You know, to be a state champ, I think in any sport takes a tremendous amount of hard work and dedication, not only in your sport, but also in the classroom. And I understand you all are an excellent example of that. So you have made us very, very proud, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Now, how many are on your team total? That were in that?
24 participants, 20 on the floor, and then 4 alternates.
It's amazing when you watch that, how much work that must have taken to, and you were all perfectly in sync. It's really amazing. I know one of my girls would be like, rewind. So fun to watch, really outstanding. The amount of work, I can't imagine. Great job.
Well, I think another thing to take into consideration, how long the actual performance was, but how many hours of practice you have in. Put that, maybe it was 2 or 3 minutes long, how many hours of practice you put in to get there. Congratulations, great job.
Thank you. And what comes next? Like, is your season done? Does that end the season, or
There's
do you?
a fall season, so states in the fall ended in November, but
Okay.
then there's a winter season, and we're just starting. We have regionals this coming weekend, and
Okay.
then if we place at regionals, states again is the following Sunday for the winter
Oh,
season.
wow. Okay, and
There's
then do you have a
different
spring season, or is that your
No,
off season?
that's
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good
That's
luck.
when they start to breathe.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And just one other question, how many seniors will you lose this year out of the whole group?
From the fall, 7. We have 7 seniors in the
So at
fall,
least
and
you
then
have
from the winter we have 4.
A fair number coming back next year, which is a good thing.
That is a good thing. That's a great thing.
Well
And-
done.
And to have this credit, she's very involved with the youth leagues as well, and it's built relationships with these kids at a really young age, and it really definitely pays off once they get to the high school stage. So, congratulations to all of you, and have a great job at the program.
Thank you.
Before you ladies do go, we do have some gifts I'd like to give to you. I'm gonna give you the box and trust that you guys can sort them out.
I don't know.
Thank you for having. Thank you.
There should be one for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Great
having
job.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, girls.
So polite, yeah. Yep.
That's great, yeah. And they get to be our age.
Oh, my.
It is.
I didn't realize it had been 22, 23 years since the state championship. I
didn't
thought they had
either.
been here prior to that, but wow.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Another shining achievement for our district, very nice.
Outstanding.
Next up, we have the expansion of the International Education Program. We have
Yeah.
Kristen Payton here.
Yeah, Mr.
Kristen,
Chairman,
come on
members
up.
of the committee, this is, follows up on our last meeting, we talked about, beginning, to do some work with China, and, in starting an exchange. Well, it's a one-way exchange at this point. Chinese students have an experiential experience, redundant, but an experience in the United States. So Kristen Payton has, taken the lead at Milford High School, working with Carrie with me, to accommodate a visit in March. We have, about 15 students coming, from China to visit with us. I wanted to show you a presentation. Maybe Kristen, you could just discuss with the school committee what you've been doing so far in terms of getting this program off the ground and my urging.
Okay.
And then I'll show the presentation. It's very brief, a couple of slides just to show, so you have an idea of what the experiential visit's all about. So Kristen, I'll turn it over to you and I'll jump on the slides.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me. So, Bob and Carrie came to me and asked me to sort of be the liaison for the short-term visit of 14 students that are coming to us. The ages range from 12 to 16, and to find host families for a week. They will be arriving on Sunday, March 23rd, and leaving that Saturday, the 29th, I think it is. To find host families for them, to develop activities for them to be involved in while they're here, and to enjoy this experience of, to have this add to our international community. So what I did was I sent out flyers to National Law Society and leadership groups. I got some responses from the community. Then we put it on the patch and we put it on Facebook. I got more responses. I made some phone calls, got some connections for people I know in town, and I have 9 to 10 families right now that are going to take on students. We had a parent forum on Tuesday night. Some parents came to see what we're going to show you tonight, which was the host family slideshow, and brainstorm some ideas of activities that we can do with the kids. So we are going to we're going to do a pins night, a pizza and pins night on the Monday night. Then we're going to do an open swim. Lenny Marcone has offered to give us the pool for one night. And then we're going to do a trip to the mall and then pizza back here on that last night that they're here. Still working on other activities to do after school. So that's a work in progress. We are going to ask the staff if they are interested in taking any other students, and Carrie and I will put that in place when we talk to the staff next week. So
are the students going to be in the classroom? They rotate
Yes.
through the classroom. So will they have like a student that they stay with all their assigned
Yeah.
to that's different than their host family?
No.
Okay.
So normally, there's one family that's going to take on 2 kids. They have a son and a daughter here at the school, so we'll hook them up with those kids, and they'll follow their schedule. And the other students that we have not placed will, the teachers will take them in to have them stay, and then we'll hook them up with a kid when they get here.
And they just take the bus to school?
Yeah,
and everything?
whatever transportation the students have to school, they will take that same transportation. Well, they'll have lunch here and, yeah.
Just excellent. And thank you, Kristen, for taking that on. Just to walk through a couple of just a brief slideshow here that was given the other night that I asked them to share with us. So only 4 communities have been selected, Milford being one of them, Norton, Uxbridge, and Marlborough. We're partnering up with Uxbridge just by proximity, so we'll work with them to bus the students. They're going to get from the airport. They're coordinated through this knowledge link, right?
Yes.
Transportation from the airport to Milford.
Yes.
And then we will transport them to Harvard University. So at the end of their week-long experience in Milford, they'll actually go to Harvard University, tour that campus, see some college campuses in Cambridge, probably MIT, and then they go to New York, and they have, I believe they'll have experience possibly in Washington, D.C. as well before they return back to China.
Oh.
So it's a real overall visit. So the families that they'll stay with hosting here, the families they may feel obligated to take them to Boston and give them the experience there, but they'll have that opportunity. What they want the students to experience is family life, what it's like in an American house, and to shadow those students. And the response from the parents who were in attendance was very positive.
Yeah.
And they're excited about this. So this is the dates. We've planned for a nice little reception on the Monday, the first school day, in our sort of Hall of Flags in the Library Media Center, where we do some of our international program inductions, cultural inductions. We have a Chinese flag that we've ordered, and I had a small group of the high school band learn the Chinese national anthem, and just to show that for them that we are embracing them and welcoming their arrival here. Kristen said 14, or possibly 15 students or so.
The list I have is 14 names, so.
And again, I won't read all these bullet points. You can see some of the goals of the programs, as Kristen had mentioned, and the benefits to the host.
And they are fluent in English as well. So it is an international ELL school, and they are fluent in English. That was nice to know, too.
The revenue benefit, you see the second bullet down at the bottom, this particular program does allow for host families to be compensated for the students coming from China here. We did not elect to do that. Instead, you may recall some time back, we started filling out what's called the CBIS application. This goes back to the summertime. In order for Milford to be a viable school for international students, whether they're exchange students or otherwise, there's a U.S. Compliance, there's a Homeland Security compliance. You have to have been cleared by Homeland Security to do that. Does every district do that? Probably not. But we want to make sure we're in compliance with that to allow, as I mentioned at the prior meeting, The goal, this is phase one. Phase two would be to actually have students matriculated here for a full year of study. That would be the revenue piece. In order to allow that, though, we have to file with Homeland Security to do that application process. Milford has since been cleared by Homeland Security and has met that threshold to be an international school. That application had a fee with it, so the intent here is using the revenue that comes from this experiential visit to offset the costs of the application. So it becomes effectively cost neutral to have this whole program launched. There will be some money remaining, of which we'll use to provide the experience. So, of course, we had the pins, the bowl, and all that. All those expenses are covered. So there's no expense to the students when they arrive here. That's the revenue pieces. Other districts may have elected to give the families, the host families, a stipend for that. We did not elect to do that simply because of the reasons I mentioned earlier, using that to offset the application expense, which I thought was pretty prudent. This is just appealing to the families. Benefits of being host family. And if any, I don't know if any of you ever hosted a student, or have you ever been to a country where you were a student yourself? Having been in both those scenarios myself, I can attest as having been an exchange student and a host family. It's really an enriching experience, and it's amazing how you can create these worldwide friendships that will stay with you forever. And the family that I stayed with when I was 16 years old, living in Germany at the time, I still, every year, exchange Christmas cards, and I still visit every time I go to Germany. And so those relationships just stay on forever, which is just wonderful. We're hoping that will be nurtured here. We do a background check on this, and Knowledge Link, this company, which is a subsidiary of the group we're working with called the Cambridge Institute, and they actually have students placed in 200 schools across the country, so they're not new to this industry, but they work with us in the program. When we have students who are matriculated students next year, we're hoping to have, if we can, if we get 10 students, they would provide any tutoring that the students might need but again, they're coming here with proficiency or fluent levels of English. They're very high achieving students. And it's quite an expense for families to put out to come to the United States to study. But this is what we're asking the host families to provide.
You use the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is the Bob Barker mic?
That's right.
I know. All right. Come on down. This is the Bob Barker microphone. This is what we've asked the families to provide: a private room, 2 meals a day. We'll provide them lunch at school. The transportation to and from school we'll take care of with Mr. Morcone. And again, they'll have a chance to really spend a lot of time with their host family child, so they can be partnered up. These are some of the issues. What we learned the other night was the culture shock really isn't going to be an issue for the 1 week stay, that we won't see that here. If it was a longer stay, there's that sort of adjustment, especially if you're coming from China, with a whole different kind of culture. Obviously, the food, encouraging kids. I guess I understand the other night that these kids discovered a cheeseburger for the first time and were eating those like they couldn't stop. One kid had like 6 or something for dinner, and then to be inviting, encouraging families to invite the kids into their lives.
Sitting here thinking, Bob, I was saying if you had the time, because they are young children, it might be worthwhile if you could get them up to Imperial. Because the Ford store, as everybody knows, each store has its own theme. The Ford store is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And just what's in that store alone. But then the Chrysler store is the Vegas theme. And Chevrolet is sports memorabilia with full-size, animated sports figures. You could take them into the diner, which would be fun.
That would be a good experience,
if you can get them up there, I'll make
I might be able to do that right after school, because I have to also get that time period in
Right.
between when school ends to when I plan these functions. So
It's an
thank you very
awesome thing
much.
to see for the first time.
Yes, yes.
know?
The other thing is there are 2 chaperones coming with the group as well. So I
Right.
have to find homes for them as well, but I'm very confident that we're going to do that. So.
Okay.
And the families are really, one of the parents said, well, don't overschedule them, because we want to have some time to show them,
Yes.
our
Right.
world from our home. And it was just great to hear that the families are really that embracing. So we think it's a good overall experience for Milford, and certainly for these families, and certainly for the children coming here from China to forge this new relationship. And those are just some of the quotes they had from former hosts. And it just expands our existing partnerships we have in Italy, Spain, and France. And now we add China to that international list. So that was the presentation that they had presented either evening, last night?
Tuesday.
Tuesday night. And I wanted to just share that with you this evening. So That's all there is for that presentation. I'm happy to take any questions you might have, and Kristen's done a great job to coordinate all of
Very
this.
nice.
And certainly we'll keep you informed as to when the students arrive, and if you are able to be here for any part of that, we'll certainly keep you up to date on the activities.
Yeah.
Oh, can I ask a question with this? Homeland Security, your goal is to have students come for a year. Is that just a relationship with one country, or like, do the students apply, how does that work? Through this company that you worked with here, that's who would really facilitate it all for you?
Right, so the company is Cambridge Institute, and they do all of the application screening, and they work with, I'm not sure if it's coming from one school or not out of Beijing, but the students would come here, and again, they have students placed in 200 schools, but they handle all of that screening, the placements, and the families pay a pretty sizable fee. I want to say it's probably $50,000 or $60,000 per student to
So
send
it's a
them
relationship
here.
with China that this will be built on?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, in
'Cause
order
we
to
have so
accommodate
many,
this,
yeah.
we'd have to be an international designated school through Homeland Security. You know, ever since September 11th, they want to
Yes.
avoid the idea of these startup schools or
Right.
flight schools. And so it was like an interrogation I had with Homeland Security, my first experience dealing with that, and having to prove that Milford High School exists and everything that we said about it. And they're still, the students are still required to follow the program of studies and to maintain their grades and so forth. But it's an experience for them to set themselves apart in their own country, to say, I have, and to work on their English skills. But it would bring revenue. Our fee, I believe, is $13,000 that we're charging per student. Now, the additional money the families would spend would cover the fees associated with all, their visas and all the tutoring and all of that. If any of the students who come, let's say we had a group of 10 and they required additional support, the Cambridge Institute provides the funds to do that. So if we had to hire an additional tutor, they would encourage us to find the person we think serves them best. They would work with us, but they would fund it. So they manage all of that, the screenings. And then, so in a case, if you had a best case scenario of year one of 10 students coming here, that's $130,000 in revenue, which would offset our as I mentioned before, our shortfall in school choice, because we've had to, but this is at the high school where we have a little bit more room to allow school choice, and it would only be for 1 year. They wouldn't be staying here for a 4-year stay.
Yeah, but that revenue covers their costs too, so it's not,
Right, that's
you're
correct.
not, that's a cost coverage as well.
It is.
So-
But it's a benefit, I think, all around for the
Yeah, I think it's
community.
great.
And to really only be one of there's maybe only 10 or 15 schools in the Commonwealth that have been invited by the Cambridge Institute to be part of this. Probably largely because of the demographics and schools that are more just culturally embracing, like Milford is. So we're proud to be that. And in this experiential visit of only 4 communities, it's really an honor for us to host these students.
So one more time, how many families do you have? How many do you need? In case
Oh, yeah,
people
in
are
case we have a
listening.
break, right.
It's
So we
a-
have 9 to 10 families right now.
And you have 14
We have,
students?
right, so we have 4 students, approximately 4 students that are not placed, and 2 chaperones.
Okay.
Yes.
And
So if anyone's
ideally,
interested.
they would be placed with a family that has a high school student.
Yes, that is the ideal situation, yes.
What about the 12-year-old? You said you had range in age from 12 to...
Yes, there was one 12-year-old in the
Okay.
group, so,
So they'd be still experiencing the high school kind of...
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions, or?
No, I think it's great.
Great
Can't
So,
wait to hear how it
so
goes.
the visit, the 15 visiting in March is more or less for them to gauge their interest in whether or not they want to come in the following year, and at that point,
Yeah,
we're working with the Cambridge Institute to narrow those 15 candidates down to 10?
no, it may not even be, though. It could be other students.
Okay, so it could be any of them. okay.
Yes, but it could well be one or more of the students on the experiential visit that may wish
Okay.
to reapply.
I got you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Kristen,
Thank
appreciate you
to the
coming
school
in.
committee for your support on this, too. Thanks, Kristen, great job. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Good, thank you. Next up, we have Miss Carrie Barnack, Milford High School Principal, to talk about the 2014-2015 Program of Studies. Hi, Carrie, welcome.
Good
Thanks for
evening,
coming in.
everyone. Thank
How
you
are
for
you?
having me tonight. It's nice to see you all. And I'm grateful for this chance to present to you our new course offerings and to explain our ideas and rationale for some of our new offerings, and then answer any questions that you may have. So I'm going to start by presenting to you each course in each discipline, and we'll keep it organized that way so that you'll understand, which discipline in the high school is going to offer the course. So the first course that we have is a sophomore seminar course. And this new course is an offering that will be a quarter course, a required quarter course for sophomore students. And it's going to encompass a number of topics that we believe are very important to 21st century learning. It will cover communication skills, information technology, career education, interview skills, and some skills around, as well with the communication skills, public speaking. The reason we thought that the 10th grade would be a good place to have this class is because it's at a time in the lives of our students just when they are beginning to think about maybe their first job. So when students are thinking about writing a resume, writing a student resume, whether it be for their first job, whether it be for a job after high school, or their student resume that they need to present in the college admissions process. So that's one reason that we thought 10th grade would be a good time. Another is that the 10th grade is the time just before many of our students will begin taking advanced placement courses. And so many students will register for an advanced placement course in the junior year. And those courses require students to do group presentations, do individual presentations, and be able to articulate their ideas and presentation in front of a group. And so having the opportunity to practice some public speaking skills in the sophomore seminar would be beneficial to students as well. Also, we were thinking about how 10th grade is the time when most students will take driver's ed, and they will get their license. And then that process of meeting with the folks that run the driver's ed programs, having brief interviews, having to present at driver's ed to the instructor, and the kids do some group projects and so forth. So we just felt that the 10th grade is a good time to consider putting in the sophomore seminar class that would encompass 21st century learning skills. And so that's one course that we are offering for next year, but that we would ask that all students take the sophomore seminar. Quarter course, as the health class is a quarter class in the 10th grade, the physical education class is a quarter course in the 10th grade, and this sophomore seminar would also be a quarter course. So when we say a quarter, a term being 45 days, it drops once in the cycle, and so the class would meet approximately 36 days, and there'd be a topic devoted to each rotation.
Carolyn, is the credit and finance 2-week curriculum, is that still buried in algebra right now?
The finance class is actually buried in the government course, because that's a senior course that's required of all students, and so that's where we put it. So if we pull that out and include the finance class as part of the sophomore seminar, all students would be able to participate in that rotation in the 10th grade as well, which is aligned to a time when, again, a lot of kids will get their first job. So, and secondly, the hospitality and tourism class, which is a course offering as part of a program that students will enroll in. And as I think everyone knows, the first cohort of students have been selected, and we had a welcome breakfast for them over at the Doubletree. So the hospitality and tourism course will be offered next year. So those two courses are in the business department. Next, we will move on to the English department. Next year, we're going to offer an advanced library research course as an elective. And this will be a student-centered, student-directed course. Students will develop a topic that they want to do more study in. They will present a thesis to a committee who will review that, discuss it with the student, and then the student will be able to pursue research in whatever subject that might be. So a student may want to pursue global warming. A student may want to pursue an in-depth study of Shakespeare. So the student can really direct the academic research project, but there will be an application process and an interview process in order for the student to be able to express and articulate what it is that they're going to study. And this will be overseen by Mr. Molinari, who is our school librarian. The next offering in English is a women's literature and history course offering. And this course will approach women's literature and history by examining the words, actions, and art of all kinds of women through critical interpretations, analysis, and discussion of novels. So this is a new course offering that students may elect to take in grades 10, 11, and 12, and that's a 3-credit elective.
Is that more modern or classical literature?
The instructor, I think she's still considering the different works that she wants to offer to the students. I think some of the kids who have talked with her about wanting to take this course are very interested in classical literature, but she's open to dialogue with the students on exactly what it is, the novels that they're going to use. So that's all the offerings that we have in English. In the English language learner program, the courses are pretty consistent from last year, but some of the names of the courses have changed, and there's an alignment to these courses with the students' scoring on the WIDA exam. And so in meeting with Jen Lancaster, in fact, we met just today, we will be offering English language development 1 and 2 and 3, as well as a 4 and 5 combined, English literature 1 and 2, and the rest of the courses in that discipline are the same. We have a real world skills course that has operated at the high school for many years, but there's going to be a section of that for the ESL students that will be taught by an ESL teacher as well. And moving on to the fine arts. One change there, we have, in the past, we offered intro to 2D and 3D design separately, but enrollment was such that we have blended the 2 classes for next year. So if a student wants to take 2D or 3D, we're just going to teach intro to design, and then the students can personalize what it is that whether it's in painting or sculpture, but those 2 are going to be merged, so that we can still offer 2 and 3D, but just at the same time. And one other course in fine arts that we're bringing back is Painting 1. We've had painting in the past. It hasn't run for a few years, but that course is going to be offered next year as well. In the science department, we have one new course offering, and I think I touched on this last time, and that's the Physics 9. We're going to offer one section of Physics First for incoming 9th grade students. We have done some research on this. There are a number of Physics First schools in the state. We're interested in piloting this course to see if some of our students who are in ESL, perhaps some of our special education students, or some other students that have struggled with some of the language of biology, we want to see if they will fare better with the Physics 9 course. And so the students will come in from the 8th grade, students that have been identified by the 8th grade science teachers who have been working with Ms. Sanzone, who's our curriculum team leader at the high school, in order to give students an opportunity to see how they will, to take the Physics 9 course and then to see how they fare with that exam. So we're really looking forward to this. The math requirement for the Physics 9 course is aligned to the state frameworks through 8th grade and does not require the Algebra 1 or Algebra 2 that our other high school physics course does. So that's probably the biggest difference.
Does that mean that a student could come to the high school and take 3 physics courses, Physics 9, then Physics and AP Physics?
Yes.
Is that possible?
Yes, that is possible. Yes, because the Physics 9 and the high school physics course, it's typically taken in the junior or senior year, are 2
Right.
very different courses, so they could.
Okay.
Yep. Moving on to the social studies department, we are offering an AP World History class for the 10th grade students. That is a new initiative, AP World History. And again, I think I might have touched on this at our last meeting, but AP World History is an AP course that is most commonly taken in 10th grade. On a national level, students enrolled in AP World History, about 85% of the students are in the 10th grade. Currently, we have U.S. History. We have a small group of students taking U.S. History. But again, national statistics bear out that the number of sophomores that take U.S. History is around 20%. It's very small. So AP World History is really designed and developed as a 10th grade AP course. So we are offering that next year as well. Current events. Currently, we have a current events course offering. It was well received. We had 7 sections of it this year. What we're looking to do next year is to offer the current events as a quarter course in the 10th grade. And again, this will circle back to the 10th grade quarter courses in English, and in physical education, in health, the sophomore seminar. But there's another course that would need to be aligned to that in order for the students to be fully scheduled. So the quarter courses would be, the master schedule would be developed in a way that these courses are married to each other, and students in the 10th grade would take a quarter of each of those. Current events was identified as a subject that would be very beneficial to students for many reasons, being current and apprised of issues in their community, and their state, and their nation, internationally. It's a course that we have a thorough and comprehensive curriculum that of course is a moving target because it is current events and aligned to what's going on in the world daily, weekly, monthly. So we also had considered moving forward with our NEASC accreditation the fact that right now we don't offer a heterogeneously grouped course in the high school. That's a graduation requirement, and that is a NEASC requirement, that your high school needs to have a course in a major academic subject as well, in English, math, science, history, or foreign language, that all students take before they graduate, but that is heterogeneously grouped, and current events is a heterogeneously grouped course in the high school now. So that would be a quarter course. It would meet for, again, approximately 36 meeting times, and it would be that last quarter for the 10th grade students. So they would, all students take 7 courses, so a sophomore student would take, in all likelihood, 5 majors, and then these 4 quarter courses, and then they'd still choose 2 electives, or 2 semester electives, or a year-long elective. We also have, and these courses have been offered in the past, but didn't run in this school year, but we would like to offer legal topics and mock trial again. We do have a mock trial team. We don't have a course that will benefit the students, prepare the students when they go out to compete against other schools. Right now, the students do this with the faculty advisor after school. We would like to institute the legal topics and mock trial to be a fall and a spring semester, so students can study the topics that they are debating about when they go out into the mock trial. So those 2 as well. And lastly, the Humanities and STEM Achievement Lab that we would like to offer to 11th and 12th grade students. As an offering, it is not a course that the students would need to take, but it would be a time for students who are taking multiple honors and AP courses, our 3-season athletes, our students who are working, involved in the community, and really believe they need some time during their school day in order to take that 3rd AP course, or to take that 4th honors course, or to really to stretch themselves, to take a rigorous program of studies that will prepare them for college and for admission to the college of their choice, while being able to stay a 3-season athlete, work, and take care of whatever other commitments they have in their lives. So there would be an application process for it. Students would need to have a conversation with their guidance counselor about why they need this time during the day to keep up with their studies. This would be staffed by teachers who would support students' efforts in the achievement centers, so math, science, English, foreign language, and social studies teachers, as well as all our other teachers. But students would have access to a teacher when they were in the lab. So if they're writing an essay and they want a teacher to take a look at the essay and critique it, if they're stuck on a math problem or a science lab, they would have access to a classroom teacher and not simply be on their own with that. So that would be the last offering that we would have. And again, that would be for students in the 11th and 12th grade.
Is it like a study hall? I'm trying to figure out what it is.
It's more, because it's going to be staffed by teachers whose job it would be to approach students and see what students are doing, see if students need help, offer help. It would be a time for students to study during the day, whether it be collaboratively or individually. Maybe they have a class project, and if we can schedule them in such a way that they can have some time together. So it would be time for them to get some work done and not feel that they can't play that sport, or they can't keep the job, or they can't be in the club, or they can't get the extra help that they need because they're just so overwhelmed with what's going on. And we've seen this year. It's been a year where some students have stretched themselves. We've asked them to consider that third AP course, or as a senior, or maybe they're taking the extra honors course, but when they get into the classes and realize the depth and breadth of the work and the shift from only last year students were taking 4 courses.
It is a change.
And so now, students are fully scheduled all year long, and that's been a big shift as far as the amount of work that the students have. So we certainly don't want them to pull back and say, well, I'm not going to take that extra AP course, because that will decrease their college readiness, their competitiveness for selective admissions. So the question is, how do we help them? How do we support them in doing that? And keeping up with all the things that the students are doing outside of the school day.
So Carrie, that's actually time within the school day, not additional time beyond the normally scheduled school day?
Right, it would be time during the school day for the student to go to the STEM Achievement Center or the Humanities Achievement Center to get some work done. Right, and it's an option for students. It is not, and there, like I said, there'd be an application process. Student would have to explain the need for this. It would not be a situation where a student could go and not be working. And if that was the case, the student would not be allowed to stay. The student would be rescheduled into a class.
I think it's a great idea. I see a lot of these kids stretch very thin, and if you're screening for the right students for this type of class, I think you're gonna get a lot of interest, and I think it would be very helpful. And this is what, an elective?
It would not be for credit. There would be no grade. It would not be on the student's transcript. So, but it would be a choice that a student would make. So if a student is scheduled, let's say it's a senior student taking 4 AP courses and an honors course, and they're in the music program, and they're a 2-season athlete, and they have a job, and they're just thinking, how on earth am I going to keep up with all of this? This would be an option for that student if they chose to do this. And some may not. Some students may be fine with
I am
it.
very encouraged by the course changes that you're looking to make, but the one that really intrigues me the most is the first one that you mentioned, the resume writing, public speaking, job interviewing processes. Not that I would be interviewing 10th graders, let's say, but I interview a lot of people that never make it to the second round because their resumes aren't properly done. They don't present themselves, properly. They do an awful job in an interview, and they may be very qualified for the job, but they can't get through the first and second rounds of how to seek a job. So if you could start in the 10th grade and they follow that through. I talk to Bob all the time about young people public speaking. Public speaking is a gift. And if you can carry that through in your life and be a good public speaker and get your message across, so thank you. To start at that in the 10th grade is a great idea.
Thank you. I think I agree, and I think the students, it's like you say, it's scary for students, for adults.
Right.
Public speaking, is one of the great fears that people have, and so if we can help our students become more proficient public speakers through this course, that'd be great.
Can I ask a question about AP courses in the sophomore year?
Yes.
There's not a lot, because not a lot of sophomores are prepared for that. But what do we offer now for AP options if you're a 10th grader looking for more? I know we have history. We have the AP US history. Next year we'll have world history. Are there other courses? But some kids, that's not going to be their passion. I mean, you have to be really interested in it, I think, to take the AP. You know, so do we have other options for sophomores to trickle down so that we might capture more kids at the sophomore level, so that when they're juniors, they don't feel like they have to take 3 or 4, or when they're seniors, that, you know, I mean, I'm thinking if you can capture a student in sophomore year, take 1. There might be some that could take 2.
Right.
You know, if they're the right course. Do we have that kind of breadth of courses that a sophomore could do beyond history?
We have the breadth of courses right now. I think the challenge would be to build the readiness skills in the 9th grade so that the student could go into another course in the 10th grade. So, for example, maybe, let's say English language. So the question for me would be, what do we need to do in the 9th grade in order to make English language a course offering in the 10th grade? So that's a great question and a direction I think we should go in, because if the student could take 2 in the 10th grade, then, you know, maybe they'd elect for 3 in the 11th, but maybe they could elect for 2 as well, because they've kind of backed that up. And students applying to college, the College Board just came out with their annual report, and the number of students nationally participating in AP over the last 10 years has more than doubled. And so, you know, it really speaks to students wanting to build college readiness at a younger age. And so I think we need to look at that. I think we need to look at what we can do for our 10th grade students.
Because then you might eliminate, and you'll still have those kids that are going to take whatever AP course they can get their hands on when they're seniors. But I think they're probably the kids you're trying to give an option to with that new course. They might not feel the pressure to take 4 if they've looked at their course schedule when they're freshmen and spread it out a little bit more, the AP level. You know, I mean, you're still, when you're a junior and summer of junior year looking at colleges, you're going to have those, I don't know, 2 or 3, 4 AP courses versus I'm taking 4 this year, I'm taking 3 this year. I just feel that pressure is probably a big weight on kids' shoulders. So if we can find a way to spread it out. I mean, I'm sure some science courses, general biology, you don't need an intro. You know, there's lots of ways to do it. It's just whether we have that in place, or how do we get that in place.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. And I think, like, with science, I think right away maybe environmental science would be a course to think about at the
There's
10th
lots
grade
of
level.
things to
So, okay, thank you.
So, Bob, how does this sophomore seminar course fit in with the program that you're trying to put together for the spring?
Yeah, I was gonna discuss that
Oh, okay.
under my goals review.
Okay.
I can go into that now unless you wanna wait and.
No, we can wait. Do
Okay.
it later.
Sure.
The only other piece of information that I wanted to add about course selection, we will begin the process, and it will continue on through the month of March. But we are going to a paperless process this year. And so what that will look like is the classroom teachers are electronically making recommendations through the X2 student information system. And so all major academic teachers will make a recommendation for next year. And then students will meet with their guidance counselor, and the students will select electives. All the health, the PE, sophomore seminar, current events, required courses can be pre-populated, and so those will all just be put in to the student schedules. And so what will happen is that when the student sits with the counselor, the courses will be in there. They'll have a conversation about the courses and levels and so forth, so students will be able to express their opinions, and counselors can talk to students about their AP potential reports that will be going out in the mail this week, so that students are aware, based on the PSAT that they took back in the fall, what courses the College Board considers them to be a good fit for, based on those test scores. And so they'll talk with their counselor about their interest in taking these courses, whether at the AP level or the honors level. And so at that point, electives are selected, and these recommendations then become requests for the student. And the requests are what will generate the sections that we'll need for next year and so forth. But as far as parents are concerned, the student will leave the guidance counselor's office with a parent sign-off sheet, and on there will be all the courses that the student has selected and has been recommended for, and then parents will sign that off on that, and the student will return it to the school. The parents also can see this in the portal. So if a parent went into the portal and it's the top tab family, side tab schedule, and then there's the leaf beneath that that says requests. So if a parent looks there, they will see it. They will see all the requests in there. So parents will receive a hard copy, and it's also can be viewed in the portal. So for 10th grade, 9th and 10th grade students right now, you can actually see the gym and the health, because those are requirements for all 9th and 10th grade students. So we've started to populate the required courses for some students.
How have you broadcast this information out to our students' parents?
On the website, there's, I put up an announcement that the program of study, that hopefully, I said that on Monday, the program of studies will be put online. And so after, once this is approved, I will go out through Alert Now and X2. In X2, I figured out how to push out announcements to families. And so I will push it out through Alert Now and X2. And then we'll have the assemblies with the students too next week.
Good.
To explain that to them, so.
And that will be for the 8th graders as well, coming into 9th grade?
Yes, so we met at our last district leadership team meeting. The 8th grade teachers, I met with those who participate in those meetings, and Noah came over as well, the assistant principal, and I worked with them on showing them how to do the electronic recommendations, so they all have access as well to making recommendations from 8th into 9th. Yes.
Bob, who's responsible for making sure that the 8th grade is sort of holding up their end of the bargain in terms of broadcasting this properly and making these recommendations in a timely manner such that it's not gumming up the works for Carolyn?
Well, I suppose that would fall to me, but I know that Nancy and Carrie are both working together to make sure that that's communicated and followed through on that part. And I know Nancy's very good about making sure that her staff
And the kids
follow
know.
through on that. So I'm watching that with Nancy and talking with her and she and Carrie about that.
The kids know, it's all they're talking about at
Yeah.
school, because the teachers are all talking about it in the classroom, so the kids are very aware that courses are coming, my courses are coming, so I don't find that I don't know about it,
Yeah.
because my kids, it's on their mind, because it's, the teachers are talking about it.
Yeah, my concern, is always, the last, when we announced the schedule change, I got calls from parents saying,
Yeah,
why didn't I know about this schedule change? And, the answer is we've been talking about it nonstop for
That's
16
right.
months at the school committee meetings. So I just want to make sure that we're taking every step that we possibly can to
Yeah.
head off some of that
mhm,
surprise.
Yeah, we'll make sure we
yeah.
Okay.
keep a watchful
Sometimes
eye.
you can't avoid it.
Well, that's true.
That's a good point.
All right, so, and that's my presentation on our program of studies.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie.
Nice
Appreciate
job,
you
Carrie.
coming in.
Thank you
So
for
Carrie, I guess
having me.
you need a vote
Oh.
from the
Yes.
committee on that.
Oh, yeah,
need a vote.
approval
Yes,
of,
yes, pardon me.
motion.
I'll make a
Broadcast
motion.
anything.
Motion
To
from
accept the
Christine,
program
second from
studies.
Patrick, all in favor?
Right.
Unanimous in favor. Thank you.
Thank you
very
Carrie.
much.
Thanks,
Thank you, Carrie.
Nice job, Carrie. Thanks.
Okay, next up, Bob, we have the Milford Public Schools Strategic Plan for 2014 to 2019 in the report of superintendent.
Yeah, if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll just take these out of order, just so I can follow up on Ms. Morales' question.
Mhm.
I'm gonna just talk quickly about the mid-cycle goals review. It's around that time of the year that I present to the committee, it's a mid-year, goals reflection and evidence. So that's what I put together in this binder. I'll leave this, I'm not gonna pass it around tonight. I have it if you're happy to read it. It will continue to grow between now and June, just to show you that I'm staying focused on the goals that I've set, that we've shared in those goals. Nothing's as a surprise. I mean, the things we talked about, hospitality, tourism management, workforce development is one of the topics that had come up as a goal. I think, Christine, you had mentioned at an earlier meeting about not having sort of a one-time workshop about the resume writing, but to really integrate that in a way that would have some sustainability, wouldn't be a one-time
Yeah.
event. So the idea of the sophomore course is sort of it's a departure from what the goal was in here, but I think it's a sensible one in that it has a longer shelf life and it reaches more students.
Absolutely.
So that will look different, and it may be viewed as, well, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, but I think it reflects a better outcome in the end. That said, I've not abandoned the idea of doing a workforce career day, which I talked about enlisting the support of the school committee to help and do this sort of a workshop for students. It's just taking longer to come together than I had hoped to do, so I'm not going to rush it. I'd rather do it correctly or not do it at all. But at this point, I'm comfortable knowing that we have it in the program of studies for sophomore year, and we're still looking to maybe have that in place if it's possible before the school year is out. So that's an update on that one. Just to answer your question, I think it's better suited in the curriculum program of studies than as a one-time. The other topics that are in here from the goals, I'm not going to read them all to you, but just to refresh you on them, one was building administrator capacity, superintendent as coach. I've spent a lot of time, as Kevin and Kathy will attest, and in the schools, we've with our leadership team, with Meg Belcito, with Jen Lancaster, with the principals, assistant principals, spending an awful lot of time in classrooms, and it's become so frequent now that we go in and we're not even sure where to go anymore, as we've been to every room and we've seen just about everything in all the schools. And we if you don't know the process, we go in so we don't overwhelm any one class. We'll break up into groups of 2 or 3. We'll pop in. We are not all observing. We're observing, but we're not doing it as a formal observation process. The principal may be doing a formal observation that he or she wants to get done. There may be an underperforming teacher, for example, that maybe would require, let's say, special education, where Meg might be making some comments on that teacher's performance. But we're all coming in, at the very least, we're all taking notes and giving them feedback. So I don't know if any of your own children have talked to you about us being in the classrooms, but we're not strangers
You were
to the rooms.
East, yes.
Yeah.
All the kids in the district know who you guys are now.
Yeah, they're very familiar, which has been good for a lot of reasons. One is they know who the central office team is, and we have a better connection of what our expectations are across the district. So when it comes time for budgeting and these things, Kathy's got a perspective on what textbooks translate to in the classroom and what we've seen. So I think we've done a really getting to the basics of curriculum. It's helped us on the response intervention goal that I've presented to the school committee, to stay focused on that, to make sure we're seeing when we walk into a room, it's a matter of practice. We're looking to see the stated objective, the target, the learning standards. How does this link to the frameworks? How does what's happening in the classroom link to the goals of that teacher, and are they posted? And when I talk to a student, do they get the same sense that the teacher's expecting that they will? And it's this kind of view. Then we come back to the office and we share this collaboratively. And I'll say to Kevin, what did you see? Or Kathy, what did you see? And the observations can be sometimes pretty profound. And then it may be that Kathy saw something in one class, so the next time we go to a visit a few weeks later, I might go in and visit that same class and see if I see the same thing. So it's really keeping our administrative team close to the action, and our staff and students know that we're there, not really watching them, so to speak, although if there's times that we have to, we are. But they know that we value what they do. And so that really leads into every one of these other goals that I've done. So it's been difficult to document that as evidence, beyond just showing you my calendar of dates and what we've done, but hearing it from your own children is probably going to be the better evidence.
Yeah.
Hey, have you seen Tremblay around in any classrooms? The answer ought to be yes. The educator evaluation, we talked about that at the last meeting. That the committee's already supported where we are with that tool. I have done some survey. I will tell you, did a survey of the staff to find out where they are in terms of their understanding, their comfort level with the educator evaluation tool. It's not great. They're not really thrilled about it, understandably. The DESE invents sometimes these ideas as they're happening and rolling them out, and we do our best to mitigate that. There's clearly a need for more professional development in these areas, for us to train them more on how to use not only the tool to which they're going to be held accountable, but also to use the baseline EDGE system, which is the online management tool of submitting evidence and tracking goals. So clearly there's a need for more PD in that. So when we have our professional development discussion and planning for the next calendar year, we will consult that survey. I wanted to let you know that I've been soliciting input from staff on that. The alumni office, we have over 100 now, Milford School alumni. We'll be communicating to them for future events coming up. A lot of events will come up in the springtime. So we'll reach out to that alumni base to encourage them back and do another event when it stops snowing and it's not 3 degrees.
Bob, has an alumni committee been formed at all?
No, we've set up a meeting though with, I've asked Amy Tamani to take a leading role in that. She had an interest in leading some of that work. So there will be an alumni committee that's going to come together to do that. I've just not set a date for that. But the players are in place to bring it together. And we have the working roster of who the registered alumni are. Hospitality I've mentioned. RTI I mentioned. So that's really in a nutshell. But if you are interested in seeing any of the evidence toward any of those goals that I've been collecting, I do have that here. It didn't seem to make sense to make a copy for everybody. I'll leave it and certainly be available in my office if you'd like to see it. Just to let you know that I'm on target with those goals. Any questions on that or comments or? Okay. Going back down to the strategic plan, a lot of what's coming out of these meetings that I've had, the administrative walks, and with Kevin, what he's been doing a great job leading the curriculum team leaders, the curriculum committee, and I've been sitting in on those meetings. We've begun to put together the strategic plan for the next 5 years. A lot of that will incorporate the report that we had on the technology and building in what some of those short and long-term needs are, curriculum needs and so forth. So that's really coming together. We're at the stage now we're getting input from the administrative team, but from all the people who are at the ground level, the curriculum team leaders who have the insight to inform that. The next level of that will be to share this with school councils, so we have parental input, teacher input, and building-based principal input as well. My thought is to bring that back as a draft package to the school committee to see what, if anything, in your view, we've missed. So if you have any ideas that you want to put out either tonight or going forward, feel free to share that with me, and we'll incorporate that into the plan. But you may find that some of those ideas are accounted for already going forward. So it's really entirely up to you. I want the school committee to be as much a vested part of this at any point in the process. So we are putting that together, and I expect that we'll have something to present to you realistically in May, to work on, and then give you a draft to look at to have that to full effect to start for the school year for next year. That's just an update on that. Kevin, did I miss anything on the strategic plan development that you wanted to add, or?
No, I think it's good. I think we've gotten a lot of great feedback from teachers, principals, assistant principals, and it's interesting. There's a lot of clear themes coming forward. I think when we do a presentation, you'll see where those themes are, and I think they're right on target for the most part.
Then we'll see from there will emerge. Now that the Woodland School, which I guess is another topic I have next, I'll segue into that. Where we've held off on capital needs for so long to advance the Woodland School, which of course we know was successful at town meeting. So now, as part of this plan, will likely emerge again capital items that will now go to a capital list to say, well, we want to do X in this area. If we need such a whatever infrastructure that might be, they may well warrant a capital item. May not. Maybe something we can phase in over a period of years that will all play out in the strategic plan. So I really think it's a good 5-year projection looking forward. We haven't done one that's a 5-year plan in some time. We did a shorter 2-year plan most recently. So a 5-year plan will require a lot of prospective thinking in there, but I think that we'll have a lot of input on that for you to consider in May.
So the strategic plan, sort of the overarching plan, and within that strategic plan, you'd have a capital improvement plan.
That's correct.
And is there also a separate technology plan as well?
It would be embedded where there's a technology that's, there may be an infrastructure technology that's to the side, but there may be technology that's just overlapping, is integrated with whatever the curriculum needs might be.
Okay.
So we'll place that together using the report from the technology study along with what we're getting from input from staff and administrators. But at the same time, that plan will drive the school level improvement plans. So because the school councils are in the process now of putting their school improvement plans together, it will be a document that speaks down, telling them sort of what they need to be thinking of in their own school plan. At the same time, that this bigger plan for the district will be fed by and informed by the school-based plans. So we really have, and then the way it's modeled, the way I've suggested this plan be modeled is based on the same standards, the evaluation standards, to which I'm held accountable, to which principals are held accountable, and staff. So if we're lining up the standards for evaluation with the goals of the district, if everybody's working, they're really in effect working toward their own goals, which affects the school and then the district. So it gets us all playing on the same sheet of music is the sort of short version of this.
Okay.
It's the long answer to your question, but I think it's all encapsulated in there. There maybe we have to take out certain capital items that sort of fit the description of what the capital committee would have to consider for a town meeting article, or they may not. It may be we can phase things and not actually reach that capital level.
Yeah, okay.
Right now, we've gone asking for $60 million, and no particular rush to go back and ask for more at this point.
It lets us keep track, though. Over the years, it lets us keep track of what's on the horizon. And it's amazing what has gotten done. Just because it's been a phase-in, but it lets you kind of have, if you just do it once every 5 years, you don't get a perspective. But if you have a list, you can refresh that list. The list can always stay the same, but having it embedded in the strategic plan lets you think of it as a global message versus here's our capital, here's our technology.
Right. But again, on Joe's point, to the technology aspect of it all too, I think is the technology director is brought in as one is appointed, it'll be important to, be collaborating with whomever that person might be to figure out what needs to be phased in and how it can be phased in. I think that's gonna be very important.
That's exactly right. In fact, we had a meeting today with the Technology Task Force. I'm glad you brought it up. So there's discussion with the Finance Committee, and I don't want to speak out of turn because there's various committees that may not have met on this yet, so I want to keep it, is at the level that it's at right now without speculating what might happen. But there is a proposal that will be going forward to have a technology committee separate line item in the town's budget. That is not the school necessarily funding that, or it's a department of the town. Like you'd have the police department, you'd have the fire department, school department, you have technology department. We're long overdue for that. Now, whether that's supported by the finance committee will remain to be seen, but that's been the discussion, and there's a plan going forward, and certainly the reposting of Len Beaudry, our former chief technology officer, and replacing that position will be the next piece, but that will come largely through, there'll be some, a selections committee coming together for that, but it'll be through the town.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know Mr. Valani had mentioned it publicly
Yeah.
recently, yesterday, I think.
Was it yesterday? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I wasn't
That
speaking out of turn.
that they were gonna,
ahead of their voice.
that they were gonna be looking for approval to
Right.
make that
And that'll
approval.
be, I believe, he's looking for approval at the next meeting, I think it's on the 10th of March. So that will start to come together. We've done a lot of work on the technology task force to make sure we know what it is we're looking for, and you're absolutely right. Having that person on board who can be a visionary, who can communicate well with other people and communicate this vision is key to putting this plan together. So part of the reason why also May is more realistic for us to roll that out. And then just segueing into finally the Woodland School Building Project update. We've done some work since the town meeting. I just want to say publicly again, I know I've said it in the newspaper. I'm sure I share the sentiment for everybody in the school committee, just how grateful we are and appreciative we are of the support that was shown at town meeting for a new Woodland school, much needed. And my sincerest thanks to everybody who's been part of that process, and to town meeting members who saw the value that we see in that process. We've since been meeting. Now we hit the ground running with some of the interior design work, and then reconsidering. I did provide an update in your packet, sort of the last January update from our project management team. But what's happened recently, last night there was a meeting. I was not in attendance at that meeting. It was at the kindergarten orientation event. Patrick, were you at the meeting? Did you have to be able to get to?
I wasn't at the last meeting, I was at the previous meeting.
Okay.
And essentially, what we did was lay out the very, very hectic schedule that we have between now and the fall, where now is really where the work gets done in terms of choosing mechanical systems and choosing the finishes inside the building.
Right.
And so it's gonna be nonstop, and we really decided to increase the number of meetings. Normally we meet once, sometimes twice a month. So there's some months now where we're scheduled to meet 3 and 4 times. So I think that the pace is gonna pick up, and it's good, and we'll run at a very high pace until this fall. And then once we sort of reach mid-November, it's gonna go on autopilot, and it's just gonna get built at that point. So
Exciting.
it's very exciting, and it's amazing to me to think that almost 2 years ago, Bob and I went to the DESE to sit down and sort of beg them to consider us to put this building back on the schedule.
Yeah, wow.
After we got their letter of interest, and the ups and downs and the debates on the floor of town hall, and all the different things that have happened to get us to this point. And I can't express how deeply grateful I am to the support the town meeting gave us. And this is something that we really need, that a lot of people have worked very, very hard on. And I want to assure everyone that town meeting did the right thing, and this is going to be a wonderful building, and it's going to be great for our kids. And it's really going to be something that will sustain our school system moving forward for many, many, many years. So
And your kids will be able to go.
Yeah, they will, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, that's exciting. No, that's exciting,
Yeah,
because I
it's very
remember when
exciting.
I had, a kindergartner. I was like, oh, we got a new Woodland. Now he's in high school, so it's very exciting, you know? It is. It's a good
It
thing.
really is. Well, thanks for that update. I know you've been at more recent meetings than I have, so thank you. So I have nothing else to add on the Woodland update, so unless there's any questions, I'm all through. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
All right.
Next up, Kathy, report of the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Human Resources.
I have for the committee this evening 4 warrants for your approval. The first warrant is in the amount of $18,703.52.
Motion from Joe, second from Mike, all in favor? Unanimous in favor?
The second warrant is in the amount of $207,295.37.
Motion from Patrick, second from Christine, all in favor? Unanimous in favor?
The third warrant is in the amount of $16,349.36.
Motion from Mike, second from Patrick, all in favor? Unanimous in favor?
And the last warrant is in the amount of $175,476.96.
Motion from Christine, second from Mike, all in favor? Unanimous in favor?
The committee also has this evening a list of the latest appointments from our previous meeting. I do have a jury duty that does require a vote for Miss Debbie Weisenhorn at Brookside.
Motion from Joe, second from Mike, all in favor? Unanimous in favor?
I am also asking the committee for their approval for the professional development course reimbursement in the amount of $24,328.38.
Motion from Christine, second from Patrick, all in favor? Unanimous in favor?
I do ask the committee this evening for a vote for an out-of-state field trip for Mrs. Raymond's class, grade 4, to attend the Woonsocket Museum of Work and Culture on May 21st and 22nd.
There's a museum in Woonsocket?
Yes.
It's actually pretty good, yeah.
That's great. I think it's a wonderful thing. I'm just surprised.
Well, because they usually go to there's someone that does a trip to the theater
A
over
lot
there?
go to in Providence, they
yeah,
go to the
okay.
theater there.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
So it's a little different.
Any members have any questions?
No.
No, I support Woonsocket, so I'll make the motion. That's wonderful.
Motion from Patrick, second from Joe,
All of
all in favor?
Woonsocket?
Unanimous in favor.
You
Great.
might know more about Woonsocket than I do, Bob, so I don't know where you're going.
I might.
And that's all for this evening.
Thank you, Kathy.
Mr. Chair.
Next, report of the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. Kevin?
Great, thanks.
Mhm.
I just have three quick updates. One is I just want to recognize the Woodland staff who put on a great presentation this week for third and fourth grade parents related to Park and MCAS. The teachers did a fantastic job kind of breaking down what to expect. This is a lot of parents' first experiences and students' first experiences with the MCAS. And they talked about the kind of process, the actual test process, broke down questions, how the test was scored, to kind of demystify what the MCAS was. And they did a very nice job. So I just want to recognize that group of teachers.
Did you have good attendance of parents?
We did. We had a really nice turnout. Probably somewhere in the vicinity of probably 30 to 60 parents.
Years ago, it used to be like standing room only in those MCAS. I'm wondering if MCAS has kind of run its course, the fear factor.
I think so. I think people are
Yeah.
a little more familiar with it. I did a little presentation on the park too to kind of show them what was coming. And so they might be freaked out and show up next year again. in big
Yeah,
numbers.
right.
Yeah, but I felt like it was a good turnout.
Good.
And the second one was I thought the principals, Lisa Burns, Lisa Firth, Lisa Beyer from the Family Resource Center, Judy Dagnies, and Vinnie Kizo, who put this video together for the kindergarten registration. I've seen other kindergarten registrations in other districts, and it kind of ran like clockwork. It was really nicely done.
It was very nicely done, yeah.
And I thought the video was nice, and Mike had an opportunity to
Yeah.
see it as well.
Yeah, it was
It
very
just was
nice.
very professionally done, and a nice way to present the information to the parents. So I thought they did a nice job. The third thing I want to talk about is we're going to be part of hopefully a pilot implementation of the Edwin Teaching and Learning curriculum and instruction tools. The Edwin program is where a lot of those data reports that I pulled when I did the presentation earlier in the fall that came from, and that's Edwin Analytics. The DESE is rolling out a new program called Edwin Teaching and Learning, and we do have access to some of that right now. It will eventually be something that any district who accesses these tools will have to pay for, but they're offering it free to districts who want to pilot it over the next couple of years, and we're gonna look at it to see if it's a direction we want to go in. And I want to share with you some of the pieces of it, and some of it that we're using now, and some of it that we'll potentially use in the future. The first thing is model curriculum units. The DESE was part of a grant, and they brought teams of teachers together throughout the state to build model curriculum units that were aligned to the new state standards in the Common Core. And there's about 100 of these curriculum units, and they actually look like mini dissertations. They're somewhere between 60 and 80 pages each, and they just break down a unit of study, and it runs from preschool all the way up through high school. Our Woodland staff right now are part of a study group, and they're looking at some of these model curriculum units and kind of engaging with them. Our social studies curriculum team leaders at the middle school level are also working with the model curriculum units, and just seeing, is it something that they would be interested in moving forward with, as well as our curriculum team leaders have been looking through, kind of based on where they are, K through 12 in the district, to see if it's something that they could pull from, model from, or use in the classroom. The next piece is curriculum maps, and there are a lot of companies right now that are pitching different curriculum mapping systems. Atlas is a big one. There's a number of other organizations out there. The DESE is going to roll that out as well as part of this pilot, and we're going to really look at that to see if that's an option that we want to move forward with to put our maps connected to Edwin, basically.
So basically, your curriculum maps what a student should learn from kindergarten all the way through.
All the way through.
And within the grade as well? Is it like within the grade?
Correct. So it'd basically be, there'd be kind of a K-12 kind of program of studies, or a big, like a world map. And then we'd have individual country maps for each grade level or each content area. And we've got that right now, but we don't really have it housed in a place that's user-friendly. Like, eventually this would be something that we'd put out so parents could look in how it's aligned to the standards and what the expectations are at each grade level, or in each like department when you get to the middle school and the high school.
Okay.
So that's kind of the direction. We really want to look at. A lot of these programs that are out there are kind of a yearly subscription fee, and they're rather expensive. And I really want to look at this because this is something that's going to be, it's kind of how the DESE envisions curriculum map should look like at the state level. And I've got a sneaking suspicion that eventually they'll be asking everybody to jump into this system. I've just got a weird feeling, just by the way it's been presented, that this could be a direction we're going in. So I'd rather be on board initially. And some race to the top districts, I think there's like 24, 25 race to the top districts across the state are using this system right now.
What is in your opinion, Kevin, what you've been experiencing so far, is the DESE going to sort of build this airplane before it starts to take off, or is this going to be another evaluation tool thing?
The reason I'm using the word pilot is because I want to look at it before, and I haven't seen enough of it to really say, geez, I think 100%, let's push it all in. I think we'll look at it to see if it's something that's viable, and if it's not viable, it'll be kind of a clear message to go in a different direction in this area.
What would the impact on teachers be if we were to roll this out with other initiatives? And the reason why I say that, and you and I both know, and so does everyone in this committee, but the public may not, there's a lot of new initiatives right now that we're burdening our teachers with, and they're necessary. And I think that we're doing a good job of communicating why they're necessary. But of course,
so I think the maps are in place right now, and it's just which kind of format or which vehicle do we put those maps into, so they become like kind of a living, breathing,
user-friendly.
User-friendly kind of document. So I think it's a direction we're going to go in. They're kind of living things anyways, because you're constantly revising based on data, based on new standards, based on changes to a course of studies.
So is the answer to my question that there will be no additional load?
I don't think I think it'll be minimal. I think it'll be minimal, because I think we've got good working maps right now. It'd just be the process of transitioning them to the system. So there'll be some impact, but I don't think it'll be something like the educator evaluation system, where it's, it seems overwhelming. Curriculum maps are something every teacher in the district are very familiar with. They're accessing them, they're engaging them. This is to create kind of a 21st century vehicle to have them available for folks. Is really the way to look at it. And a kind of a different way of organizing it, a consistent way of organizing it from pre-K through 12.
No, the goal makes perfect sense to me. As a matter of fact, that's something this committee's been asking for since I've been on it, for as long as I've been on it. And I don't worry about the actual process of moving our current maps into the new system. What I worry about is the overall load that we're placing, where we have 15 different initiatives now that are out, that the teachers are bearing. So
yeah, I don't think this is going to feel like district determined measures, educator evaluation system, the new park exam. I don't think it's going to feel like any of those. I think it's just going to be a working process to get them in there, and we'll figure out kind of the most efficient way to do that.
Right.
And whether it's, this particular DESE tool or another one of the commercial tools that are out there, I think it's a direction we're gonna have to go in. All right?
And this streamlines the process as well, right? Aren't we using multiple tools today that we would envision this?
This would be the one-stop shopping for the entire district, as opposed to, they're all similar, but they're formatted a little differently. They're set up, like the kindergarten maps look very different format-wise than some of the high school maps do, for example. And this would kind of streamline it for everybody. So anybody who, whether it's a parent, they'd have access to some things, maybe not everything, but teachers would be able to kind of, as teams, this is kind of my vision for this, is down the road, teachers would be able to work with these maps on kind of an ongoing basis when they say, geez, we'd like to see more writing in middle school social studies to, for whatever reason, they could work that into the curriculum maps. And they could do it in a way that they're not kind of recreating a document, or they're saying, who saved that document? You know what I mean? It's in one place.
No, there's no question. As recently as 2 years ago, if we had a teacher of science in 6th grade that wanted to know what students were learning in 5th grade, there was no resource for that teacher to go to pull that information. So,
And this will address a lot of those issues, and even just the accessibility piece, because sometimes you're just not asking the right person the right question.
that's exactly it.
Then this will have it all there.
Great.
That's the goal. And if we don't go with this, we're gonna go with something else. It's just a matter of, this seems like, I think it's gonna be the direction the state's gonna go in. Maybe not. They do change direction every now and then, I've been told.
Yeah.
I've heard rumors.
Yeah.
Couple other pieces. There's a digital library that they have as well, and there's some limited access to that. There's kind of just general curriculum resources that they compile and kind of break down by kind of subject area, content, special ed, ELL. It's broken down into a lot of different areas. It's kind of a nice resource. And the last piece is student assessment tools. And right now, the tool is aligned to MCAS and the standards in each of the curriculum areas. I suspect it'll shift to PARC once PARC comes online, and there's been talk of that at the state level as well. But if a teacher were trying to develop an assessment based on a particular standard in ELA, mathematics, science, they could cite the standard, and there's banks of questions, there's writing prompts, there's those types of pieces that are coming directly from the state that could help augment curriculum in any area. And it's going to be aligned to the state standards, the PARC exam, the MCAS. It's just another piece of this process. Again, I think we're going to pilot it next year, and there's some people that are interested in various aspects of it that have taken an interest. But I think we're going to push that, and as next year goes on, we're going to get a sense of how user friendly is it, how much of it is building the plane as it's taking off, how much of it is going to what's the kind of the learning curve to do these different things. Because when you're presented by any company, they say, oh, it's easy, it's it's great, it's user friendly, it's perfect, and then you get into anything, and there's all kinds of issues to kind of align it to what you're particularly trying to do, here in the Milford Public Schools. And it's true of any software package, it's true of any new program. And we're going to try to gauge how useful these things are through this pilot process next year.
Well, that's just the thing. One of the reasons why the salespeople of these software programs come in and talk about how easy it is because they have the opportunity to dedicate their entire day to using it.
Absolutely.
Where our teachers don't. So.
And there's a lot of different software pieces that every teacher in the district accesses at different points of the
Right.
day. So it's not just one system, and there's no one system that can work for any school system or any teacher for that matter. But I think I think that there's a lot of potential here. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on the model curriculum units, which is what people are most familiar with at this point. And people are looking at it, and even if they're not implementing the actual units, it's a way of thinking about curriculum, it's a way of thinking about assessment, it's a way of connecting the two that I think is very good and I think is very powerful.
Patrick, just a comment on that. You make a very good point about the workload of that, and a lot of it where the maps do exist is getting that information into a clearinghouse, if you will, so people can access it. The process by which we do that, we'll have to really talk about whether or not we have to actually have our teachers tied up with that, or is this something we can hire people over the summer to do, and maybe even have high school kids, for example, as a summer work to literally type these things if that's what needs to be done, or cut and paste. because our staff doesn't have the time to do that. And we can't be taking professional days for them to spend the time doing that work. And I'm not sure if you were alluding to that as well beyond, but that's a serious time commitment.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought I was more than alluding to it.
Well, I didn't know the accessing it and the manipulating it, but there's also the data entry piece of it, which is more.
Well,
sort of clerical.
what I worry about is we have a team of very qualified people who need to teach. And I understand this administrative stuff, and I absolutely have faith in Kevin and his team to pick the right system and put it in place. So please don't take my concern as to be a question of that. But yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think that I just want to make sure that we're thinking creatively about how we put some of these tasks together, and that we use all of the resources that we have available to us to make sure that we're not making this burdensome on the group of people who we know are very qualified to do it and could do it accurately the first time, and maybe might require less monitoring, but it might not be the best use of their time, I guess.
Yeah, we definitely don't want this to be the last straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely right. It's a point very well taken. Yeah, we'll work that out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rob, I'd just like to touch on one thing that Dr. McIntyre talked about last night. The kindergarten presentation was very well attended. And, I always feel that how do you know when you're doing a presentation that you've put together a good presentation and that you've, presented it properly is at the end with the questions. The less questions mean you put together a good presentation, you answered everybody in the audience's questions, and they don't have any questions. And last night, I think there were 3 questions that came out of the whole audience. So I thought, again, I take my hat off to all of them who did it.
It was very well done. The presentation was very nicely put together. There was a great video connected to it.
The video was
very,
outstanding.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it really was, because it kept playing the teachers, the principals, the nurses over and over, and the schools, and, but then the actual video, that was really well done as well, And I think the other thing was how they explained all the programs that'll start in May and kind of go right through the summer. The way I looked at it is, exactly, lessening the anxiety, all the way to the bus trip with one parent, to the school, just lessen that anxiety of that little guy, or gal, I should say, so,
That's right.
yeah, nicely done.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Next, we have new business. Do any members have any new business? Seeing none, do any members have any old business?
One piece of old business. Joe and I have been working on a process that he's put a lot of time into, and that I've put much less time into. And I want to say that we want to look at ways that we can, and Joe, jump in if you want to stop me, we're going to look at ways that we can help set together a plan and gather all of the committee members' goals, so we can put together almost like a strategic plan, as Bob would have for 5 years. And so hopefully we'll have an opportunity to talk about that at the next meeting. I've been having difficulty allocating time to getting my portion of it done. So please don't take that as an insult, Joe. It's not meant to be.
No, but don't worry about that.
No, I do, because you put a lot of work into it, and I know that I've been the person that's been gumming up the works, and so I apologize for that. Bob, I was hoping I could enlist Melissa to meld the 2 pieces that we have right now together, and then Joe and I could perhaps edit it, and that might take a stepping stone out of it, take the
Sure.
roadblock
Do
away.
you have that in hard copy with you, or you want to send it to me, or?
Yeah, I have electronic documents right
Okay.
now, so if we could have Melissa sort of put that piece together, and then our next meeting, we can actually review it and talk about it. I think that would be
Okay.
Yeah, so
that
why don't you
sounds
just forward it to me, and then I'll work with Melissa to get that done.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
good.
We'll
Just let
plan
her know if
for
she
the
has
next-
any questions, she can call me.
And I think we have, is this the back-to-back meetings? Do we have another one? I think.
The agenda, I think, is pretty full. Might be the one
The
after.
March
So
one.
so it might be the second meeting in, what month were you still in?
I think it's
March
around
Second meeting in
6th.
March. We have another meeting, I think,
cause-
next
And then
week.
s-
Yeah, 'cause
Yes, we
February
have one right next
vacation,
week,
and
the
I always
first
do
week of
that.
So
March.
Probably the week after.
So maybe that second meeting, yeah, if we have our schedules, well, maybe the second meeting, is that?
Okay,
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
okay, very good. We'll do.
Thank you.
Good, yeah, thank you both. That is all we have.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn from Mike, second from Christine, all in favor? Hey, thank you.